The NFL has handed down a significant punishment to the Atlanta Falcons, imposing a $250,000 fine on the team and an additional $100,000 fine on defensive coordinator Jeff Ulrich. This decision comes in the wake of the Shedeur Sanders prank call incident that occurred during the NFL Draft. While some may debate the fairness of this punishment, it's certainly understandable given the circumstances. The Falcons allowed sensitive information to leak outside their organization, and the NFL had to respond appropriately. It's crucial for teams to safeguard confidential data, especially leading up to the draft. While I don't believe that team owner Arthur Blank, general manager Terry Fontenot, or head coach Raheem Morris are to blame, the situation arose from a lapse in security. The incident reportedly involved Ulrich's son accessing his father's iPad, which raises questions about how such a breach could happen. It's hard to pinpoint what more the Falcons could have done to prevent this, aside from ensuring their devices were password protected, something I'm sure they already had in place. It seems likely that Jax, Ulrich's son, simply knew the password and decided to prank call Sanders during the draft. I feel for Ulrich. It's tough to manage these kinds of situations, and hiding his iPad at home might have been his only option. As for the financial impact, while $100,000 might seem like a small amount in the grand scheme of NFL salaries, it's a significant hit for a defensive coordinator who typically earns between $1 million and $2 million a year. Losing that much money will likely have consequences for Jax, who might find himself doing chores around the house for a while and possibly even covering his own expenses at college. In their statement, the Falcons accepted the punishment and expressed a desire to move forward. They also mentioned that the Ulrich family would be involved in community service initiatives, which adds a positive spin to the situation. I can't help but picture a scene reminiscent of Talladega Nights, where Jax might be picking up trash along the highway as part of his community service. In closing, I don't think this incident is as monumental as some have made it out to be. Other players, like Tyler Warren of the Colts, have also been prank called without much backlash. It seems that some media members are particularly protective of Shedeur Sanders, especially given the circumstances surrounding his draft position. While there are valid discussions about bias in the NFL, it's important to remember that this was just a prank call, not a life-altering event. Let's be clear. The fallout from the prank call incident doesn't warrant anyone losing their job, despite what some have suggested. Matthew Berry mentioned that the entire Ulrich family should be held accountable, but that seems a bit extreme. What role did Mrs. Ulrich play in this? Jax Ulrich made a poor decision, and he should certainly face consequences from his family, but this isn't a scandal that requires drastic measures or job losses. It was just a prank call after all. Now, shifting gears to some positive news for the Falcons, Drake London has had his fifth-year option picked up, which is a no-brainer decision. This was expected, especially with the deadline approaching on May 1st. Often, teams delay these decisions for no good reason, but the Falcons knew back in January that they would exercise this option. The fifth-year option for 2026 is set at $16.8 million, and it's a fully guaranteed deal. This is one of those rare moments in the NFL where contracts are straightforward. If you cut or trade London, you owe him that amount. London had a fantastic season last year, achieving career highs in receptions, targets, yards, and touchdowns. It's no surprise that he thrived when given a competent quarterback to work with, rather than relying on Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder. With the right support, he can deliver top-tier production comparable to the best wide receivers in the league. I believe the Falcons should consider extending London's contract this offseason. It doesn't have to happen immediately, but he has shown enough potential to warrant a second contract. We can debate his worth, but I think it's clear that London is a player the Falcons want to keep around for the long haul. It's crucial for Atlanta to avoid the mistakes made by teams like the Cincinnati Bengals and Dallas Cowboys, who ended up paying their star receivers much more than necessary because they delayed negotiations. The Bengals, for instance, waited too long to extend Jamar Chase and ended up paying significantly more than they would have if they had acted sooner. While I don't expect London to command top-5 receiver money, it's worth noting that with the salary cap increasing and his strong performance last season, a 4-year, $114 million deal could be appealing. That would place him just ahead of Jalen Waddle, making him the 10th highest-paid receiver in the league. If the Falcons offer him around $60 million guaranteed, he might see that as a solid deal. However, he could also choose to bet on himself, believing that next year he could secure an even better contract. Either way, it's a pivotal moment for both London and the Falcons. When it comes to contract negotiations, uncertainty can be a player's worst enemy. Drake London might think, what if I get injured? What if my quarterback struggles next season? If that happens, his potential earnings could drop significantly. For the Falcons, it's in their best interest to secure London's contract now while they can still get a favorable deal. I genuinely believe London is on the rise and has the makings of a star receiver. Locking him down now could save the Falcons money in the long run. If they wait another year and he continues to improve, his value could skyrocket from $28.5 million to $31, $32, or even $33 million per season. That's when you start talking about him being among the highest-paid receivers in the league. While I want him to earn every dollar he deserves, the Falcons should act quickly to avoid becoming the next Bengals or Cowboys, who faced hefty price tags for delaying contract extensions for players like Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb. Now let's engage a bit. Do you think Drake London is a true wide receiver one? Drop a Y for yes or an N for no in the comments. I believe he is, and I think he's been overlooked for a couple of reasons. First, the Falcons haven't had many primetime games until last season, which limits his national exposure. Second, he's dealt with subpar quarterback play throughout his career, primarily with Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. If he had even an average quarterback for all 17 games, I'm confident he could rack up 1,300 yards and 10 to 12 touchdowns. Before we wrap up, I want to mention that several players have had their fifth-year options exercised, including Derek Stingley, Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, and many others. On the flip side, some players had their options declined, like Evan Neal and Trevor Penning, who have struggled to make an impact. As we close, let's do a quick wheel spin, and I want to give a shout-out to those who engaged in the comments section of yesterday's video. Special thanks to Corey for being active in the community. 2 claps for you, Corey. 1, 2. I'll see everyone later.